Hello students, this is Mr. Martyr. I'm coming to you from video 4 of the Flipped Classroom Guide to the Culture Components. This is video 4 on economy. All right, we're going to take a look at economy. And here you have a little political cartoon of a worker, and it's a slogan that was used by President Clinton in the early 90s, and the slogan says, "It's the economy, stupid." And you can see the president is sitting at his desk dealing with healthcare issues, and the poor worker is struggling to give President Obama the sign, because the economy, ladies and gentlemen, is such an important issue, not only in culture, but also in your own life, and how you deal, how you make money, how you spend that money, what you spend that money on, how you save. That's all going to be really, really important into our study of economy. So you should be turned to video 4 on economy. All right, so what actually is economics and the economy? Well, economy is how people use limited resources to satisfy their wants and needs. For example, Mr. Martirone doesn't have an endless supply of money. I would love it if I did, but it's limited. So how I go about and budget my money and what I prioritize my money on, that's economy. And economics is the study of the distribution and the production of goods and services. And that's kind of your standard textbook definition. What are countries and cultures producing? What are they distributing? What are people buying? What are people selling? That's all an example of economics. There are 3 types of economies that you need to be familiar with, and they are as follows. Number 1, there's something called the traditional economy. Number 2, there's something called the market or mixed economy. They can be interchanged. And then number 3, there's something called the command economy. We're going to go over all 3 right now, and we're going to discuss them a little bit more in detail in class. First type of economy, traditional economy. Well, in a traditional economy, if you guys noticed, the root word of traditional is trade. So in a traditional economy, people produce most of what they need to survive. There is no surplus. All right. Examples of a traditional economy include hunting, gathering, farming, fishing, and herding. And a great modern example of a traditional economy would be the Amish people. Okay. Amish don't really necessarily need surplus to survive. They don't necessarily need money, but they produce enough to trade, and they produce only what they need really to survive. The bad thing about these economies is that they are in fact slow to change. And because they're slow to change, most people really don't stick with the traditional economy. They have evolved out. These economies ask what products or goods were made in exchange for what services were performed. For example, if someone comes to me selling me 10 chicken, I may build them a barn in a traditional economy. So I am getting one thing and performing a service. Very simple task, very easy to remember. Traditional trading. It's a very basic economy. And here you have a couple images of some nations using traditional economic tools. They're all example of traditional economies, people producing only what they need to survive. Next economy is the market or mixed economy, and we call that capitalism. All right, capitalism relies on the law of supply and demand, and that is vitally important. So please make sure you put that in your notes, star it, highlight it, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth into the law of supply and demand in class. Actual money must be present. In order to have a market mixed economy, you need to have actual physical money, whether it's dollar bills or change, but money must be present. And then finally, the best part about a market economy is that it's very individualistic. Anyone can start a business. So if you wanted to open up a clothing store, you could do that. If you wanted to open up a clothing store and just sell clothes to very tall people, you could do that. If you wanted to open up a clothing store and sell money to very short people, you could do that. If you wanted to open up a store and sell surfboards, you could do that. In a free country and in a market economy, you have that freedom. Based on what people will buy, as long as people are willing to pay a price for it, you can sell it. Continuing on the whole idea of a market economy, people strive to make the biggest profit for the least amount of work. I mean, that's kind of the theory of life. You try and get the most for the least amount of effort and work. And in addition, in a market economy, people will compete for jobs, products, and they'll compete for buyers. If you've ever noticed, if you drive down the Black Horse Pike, right across the street from Lowe's is Home Depot. Right across the street from Burger King is a Chick-fil-A. So there's always this idea for competition. Additionally, when you guys go out into the job market, when you apply for jobs, you're going to be competing for jobs, and employers want the best possible person they can get so that they can have the best possible output. And then the final point to remember about a capitalistic or market economy is the fact that the United States is, in fact, a capitalistic market economy. No doubt about it. So if I said to you in class, give me an example of a capitalist country, we are a capitalist market economy. The final economy we're going to talk about is a command economy. And a command economy is where a person, one person, generally a leader who's self-appointed, usually a dictator, since we just talked about governments, they control what the country produces, what services are distributed, and how much people work. They also control who does the work and how much they can charge it for. A good point, however, is that like a dictatorship, dictators move quickly, we said in the last video, but leaders of a command economy can also act very decisively and very boldly in a crisis. Modern examples of the command economy is that production is not for profit, but for the good of the group. And the two best examples of command economies I can give you today are North Korea and Iran, where the government really controls what is produced, how much it's sold, and for how much. You will not generate a profit working in a command economy. All right, that brings us to the conclusion of our economics slide. If you need to see any of the material again, please feel free to play the video again. But at this point, you want to make sure you have your entire flipped classroom guide to the culture components filled out and completed. If you have any questions, you can always post them on Edmodo in our discussion forum, or you can ask them in class.